Hello everybody and welcome back to the NPC Dungeon. Today I'm talking about DM fatigue. I was just going through a little bit myself, so it was kind of fresh in my mind. And I think it's just one of those always relevant topics when it comes to DMing. It happens to all of us and we can't avoid it, at least I haven't found a way to avoid it yet. But there are a few things we can do to lessen its strain, so without any more hold up, let's learn something. First up, what is DM fatigue? Well, DMing can be hard. You have planning, you have improv, you have dealing with all of your random player decisions, you have scheduling, and you have a whole host of other things to deal with as DM. I've seen sessions last anywhere from 2 to 4, even up to 8 hours, and that can be taxing on anyone, especially if you're running the session, and you're probably spending the entire week beforehand getting ready without any real break, spending all of your free time planning on this. And all that being said, this hobby can be a drain and a strain on anyone. And over time, all of this can get a little bit tiring and a little bit taxing. And I know the instinct all too well to feel an obligation to your players and not want to stop. But your mental health is the most important thing here. So here are a few things that I like to do to help lessen the strain of DM fatigue a little bit. Real quick, I know I just said there's no way to avoid it, so this first point might sound like a little bit of a cop-out. It may sound like a little bit of a cop-out anyway, actually, but I'll run the risk and say it anyway because it's just so important. And it's make sure you get plenty of sleep, and not just on the night before a session, but definitely do make sure you try to schedule in some sleep the night before the session. I'm sure you'll have no problem sleeping the day of the session after it's all said and done, when you're tired and exhausted from running it. I know I don't, but what about the other days? I like to have time set aside to go to bed and set a time to wake up and keep it. Scheduling like that always helps me. I know we all have busy schedules and DMing is a lot of work, but I'm telling you, you won't work as quickly, get as much done, or plan as well if you're exhausted and sleep deprived. Plus, getting little sleep affects your ability to concentrate and think and react quickly. Not good if you're a person running an improv game like D&D, where the entire thing could change on a dime and you have to think and react quickly. Plus, no one's happy when they're tired. Well, maybe not no one, maybe some people are, but for the most part, how can you not be grumpy? How can you not be irritable? And again, that's not good for someone running a cooperative game where everyone needs to be on the same terms. And if that doesn't convince you, do it for your overall health. And like I said earlier, I know all too well the instinct might just be to push through it, but don't. Trust me. If you have a session where you're too tired to think straight, no one's going to have fun, not you and not your players. So do yourself a favor and try to get some sleep. 8 to 10 hours if you can. But I'm not an authority on sleep, and I don't claim to be, so I'm going to end it there, and I want to go ahead and move on to my next point, which is don't blame yourself. This one's super important because you're already exhausted. You don't want to blame yourself on top of that. You might feel bad for being tired, but honestly, I'd be surprised if you weren't tired. Think about it. Like I said earlier, you're simultaneously composing a story, managing a group, trying to predict what they will do, which is hard enough as it is, adapting to what they do, which is also really hard, building aspects of a world, building a whole world sometimes, building characters, building NPCs, navigating combat while trying not to kill your characters, and acting as every single NPC in the game. But that way, it sounds like a lot, because it is a lot. And as I said, I'd be surprised if you weren't. And as I said, don't get mad at yourself for it. And part of that is knowing what's actually going on. And this is important too, because sometimes it isn't just that you're tired from DMing. There could be something else going on, and if that's the case, it won't matter if you take a break or get enough sleep, though you should still get sleep, again, super important. You won't be solving the problem. Maybe you're running an adventure that's a little too difficult for you, or maybe your players are heckling you or doing something else bothersome. Either of those problems can be solved with a quick conversation. Let them know that you'd like to run a different adventure, or let them know that they're doing something bothersome. Be honest with your players. Be open with them. If you're a little burnt out, for whatever reason, a good player will understand and they won't blame you. It isn't you. It's not your fault. It happens to every single person who DMs. And I mean every single person who DMs. If you have a DM who tells you they don't get burnt out, they're lying to you. Look at your favorite DM that you look up to, your favorite D&D show. I can guarantee you it happens to them too. And if you can't seem to get yourself to believe that, or if you can't figure out if anything is bothering you at the time, or if you need some time to figure out what's bothering you, don't be afraid to take a little break, or at least to take it kind of easy for a while. And that's my next and probably my longest point. I usually like to take a little break when I notice this happening to me. This helps me, but chances are you aren't me. You need to know what works for you, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a break. Now, if you need one, take one. I encourage it. Like I said, that's what I do. But you may also benefit from having shorter sessions or just less frequent sessions, either until you're back up to full or even permanently. Some groups have these big long 6 to 8 hour sessions. Some only meet for about 2 hours. Some groups meet every week. Some only meet occasionally or once or twice a month. Feel free to experiment a little bit so that you can know what works well for you and what works well for your group, and then communicate this with them. I know the instinct is to try to be nice, at least for me it is, and not say anything, but if you're tired and you need to take a little bit easy for a while, let them know. And if you need to take a break, again, let them know. A good player, like I said earlier, will not blame you or get upset. A good player will understand just how difficult of a job you have, and they'll be okay with it. So take a week, take a few, take a month, take more if you need to. Your own mental health is the most important thing here. And if you're worried about the group splitting up after your break because you haven't met in a while, talk to your players. Who knows, you might have one with a campaign idea they want to run. Often that's what I do, so my players still have something to do in that time. I'll talk to one of my players, see if they have an idea, and they'll run it so we're still doing something while I'm on my break. And if that doesn't work, you can still meet up, play games, watch movies, hang out, so your group is still together. And while you're on your break, try not to think about your game at all. I know it might be tempting, but let me tell you from experience, you'll be much more refreshed and ready to go if you don't. Unless, of course, you're taking a break to rework some things, in which case, sure, go for it. But even then, it's best to try to take a little bit of time to yourself. After all, you've been doing this for your players for a long time, so you deserve it, and you do deserve it. But that's it for today. I know it ended up being kind of short, but I hope it was still useful and reassuring all the same. Be sure to check out this week's other video. It's about a backstory for a character I played in the past. I guess I'm kind of on a backstory kick right about now, and I'll be continuing that trend next week with another character backstory story, and for a special 2-part video series on how world building can change the context of a given campaign and even enhance the experience when done well. And this video is actually at the request of one of my amazing viewers, so thank you for that. And of course, thank you all for taking the time to listen to me ramble about D&D. So until next time, of course, let's learn something.